morning, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Hawkins County Neighbors. I'm Tommy Campbell, and we're glad you're with us today and hope everybody had a great time last week at Heritage Days. There was an awesome crowd in town, and if you missed it, you missed a wonderful event. This week, we want to talk about something that probably hits a lot closer to home than some people may realize, and that's domestic violence. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And Hawkins County and other areas of Northeast Tennessee, we seem to have more than our share of it here. We see that here at the paper through the law enforcement reports that we receive and through knowledge of family situations, people we know here that we hear about. So it affects a lot of people. But today, unlike years ago, victims of this crime have hope. They have a place to turn, and they no longer have to suffer in silence. And one of the organizations that's providing that hope right here in our county is CEASE. And joining us today is Jenna Wingo, domestic violence victims advocate for that group. And Jenna, welcome to Hawkins County Neighbors.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
We are glad you're here with us and came to talk about this this tragedy, really, that affects so many people in our area. And I know your group offers everything from a 24-hour hotline to victims assistance. You have shelters. You even have, I think you even have pets that people that have pets in situations like that. And I threw that in just to let people know what a range of services that you do offer to people who find themselves in that situation. So we got a lot of ground to cover today. So why don't you just jump in and tell us a little about CEASE. And I know you've been here for a little over a year now in Hawkins County, and you've got other offices around in other counties. So you just tell us what you would like for our viewers and our readers to know about what your group offers.
Okay. So CEASE of Hawkins County is celebrating its 1-year anniversary here in Rogersville.
We were there for the ribbon cutting.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So we had our ribbon cutting ceremony on October the 4th, 2017, and you covered that.
We did.
As a result of our ribbon cutting ceremony, we've tried to make sure that Hawkins County clients and families in the community are aware of our presence. We offer a plethora of services. So we are a nonprofit. We help survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault. We offer a 24-hour crisis hotline. We also have a office in 6 counties, Hawkins County being one of them. We have 2 emergency shelters and safe houses in Hamlin County, Morristown, and then 1 in Claiborne County, Tazewell. It's a total of 26 beds. When people hear the word shelter, they automatically assume like cots on the floor, community bathrooms. But
not like that.
Right, exactly. So that's a misconception that I want to make sure, families are aware of. Our safe houses have Wi-Fi, cable television,
awesome.
2 to 3 beds per room, 24-hour around-the-clock staff. We have a full access kitchen, private bathroom. We go grocery shopping every other week. There's an on-site playground.
So it's for children.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And we do have pets that come to our safe houses with our families. And as long as they're on a leash and potty trained, they can come in the house. And we have kennels there in case they need to be outside. Okay. We've had goats there. We've had, I think we had a pony. So we definitely want to make sure
Which probably goes over well with the children, I would imagine.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And so we want to make sure that everyone is aware of the fact that our shelters are very accommodating and very trauma-informed and very welcoming. We also have, just rewinding and going back to that, we're hoping to open a actual safe house in an emergency shelter in Hawkins County.
Because you don't have one here right now.
Right, that's correct. And so the unfortunate reality of Hawkins County is that we don't have a shelter. We're hoping to open one in the next 1 to 3 years. There's a big push for that because just in the last year alone, I have had 34 families seeking emergency shelter who were not able to go out of county.
Wow.
And so they decided to stay in the condition that they were in, which was unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in going into that, the one really great option that we have for Hawkins County families is called Safe at Home Rapid Rehousing. The idea is that by being approved for that program, which it's a no barriers program, you don't even have to have income to get approved.
Okay.
You would sign a new lease and move into safe housing.
Okay.
It offers, it pays 2 to 3 months of rent, utilities, rental deposit, and utility deposit.
That's always a big thing with a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Because I know from just personal experience through people that I know and have talked to and just things that we hear, you know, through the community. A lot of times people in that situation, you have to get out with just what you're wearing on your back.
Absolutely.
You don't have
yes.
money, you don't have clothes, you don't have anything.
Right.
So I'm sure that's a huge help to a lot
Yeah,
of people.
yeah. And the initial costs alone just to move into a new apartment can be up to $1,500.
Right, because you often have to pay a deposit,
Exactly.
the utility deposits and all of that. So you're looking at quite a bit of money.
Right. And by the time it's all said and done, if we were to pay 2 to 3 months of those expenses, the maximum compensation is $3,000, which is very generous. And
Very much so.
yeah, and it's a safety net that's designed for clients to be able to rebuild their lives, rebuild their lives from the ground up, because that's what they're doing. They've left with just the clothes on their back sometimes, and they need to start over.
And that in itself is just a tremendous, I would imagine that's a tremendous, just an emotional and psychological blow, just because you're now out with nothing. In a lot of cases.
Yes.
I mean, that may not be the case with everybody.
Right.
But I'm sure that's a huge help
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
And in speaking to that, something else that CEASE can help with is legal advocacy. So we can help our clients navigate those daunting challenges of, say, for example, filing an order of protection, trying to apply for a free attorney through Legal Aid of East Tennessee.
People don't understand a lot of times where do I get this help? How do I go about this?
Yeah. Yeah, and we help them find private attorneys. Sometimes they have to file for a divorce. Sometimes they have to find other means of protecting themselves through the court system. So we can help with that. We accompany them to court.
They're not going alone.
Right.
They've got a
absolutely.
friend.
Yeah, we are there. We're their support
So
system.
people that say, well, I don't have anybody to turn to. Well, they really do now.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true. We are always available. I even text message with my clients. So my clients have my personal cell phone number, and we can talk anytime they need to speak to me. And sometimes that helps with, safety planning, because other times they can't talk to me on the phone. They can only message with me privately because it's safety. It's
Right.
their safety concerns.
Right.
We also are building what's called a SART team. That's called a Sexual Assault Response Team in Hawkins County. That's a network of nursing staff. It's a team of law enforcement and prosecuting attorneys, with the hope that if a client of Hawkins County discloses that assault, that we would be with them from the very beginning, when they enter the hospital to do a medical forensic exam kit, to the moment
they're
that
not alone.
Right, exactly, yeah. So we're a
And-
safety net for
And
that
just
support system.
for our readers, you've been noticing, because we're going to drop in some pictures and some infographics while we talk that you've been seeing on the screen, and a lot of those are from events that you've had and volunteers and people that come in to help, and the infographics, just how to, what can you do to help, where can you find help and things like that. So you'll be seeing a lot of those as we're talking. And on the bottom of the screen, you see the contact number for CEASE. And I'm sure Jenna and all of her staff and the volunteers are there. And if you need help, call. If you need help, call, because there's no reason for anybody to stay in a situation where you feel your life is in danger or your children's life is in danger.
Yes.
So let's take just a short break, and we'll be right back with more.
I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it. My support team never stopped pushing for me to be better, because they knew who I could become as a person. been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Hawkins County Neighbors. Tommy Campbell here. Jenna Wingo with Cease is our guest today, and we're talking about domestic violence, which is something that unfortunately affects a lot of people here in Northeast Tennessee. And Jenna, we were just talking about the services that you provide, but let's get into a little about statistics. How many people are affected by this? I mean, we know it's a lot. But how many people are affected by this? And on a local level, talk about the number of people that you've seen and you've helped so far in this past year, and maybe a little what's coming down the road, what you would like to see happen. Talk a little about those numbers.
Okay, so that's a great question. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and one of the things that we've been trying to accomplish is to get more community engagement. And we want to spotlight this issue because we believe, CEASE believes that we are stronger together. The ultimate goal is to end this epidemic. I would like to no longer have a job someday. That's my goal.
That would be awesome.
Exactly, absolutely. So one of the statistics, many statistics that the community may not be aware of in regards to this issue is 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will be victims of domestic violence in their lifetime.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but see, that's something that a lot of people may not be aware of, is that guys are affected by this sometimes too, for many reasons. And I'm just going to throw an instance in here that I can recall from my growing up years. I had a relative who unfortunately had a mental illness, and when she and the relative married, he didn't know about it, and nobody knew about it, and it just degenerated into violence, and he was severely beaten one night in his sleep, and had no clue that this was this was what was wrong. So yeah, I'm sure, there are cases of guys being affected, maybe not nearly as much as women, but guys can be affected by this.
Right. Domestic violence is so much more than just physical. It's financial, it's emotional, it's psychological, it's verbal. It impacts men, women,
and
children.
Words hurt.
Absolutely.
Words can cut like knives.
Right, right. And a lot of our society, our community doesn't realize, because violence impacts every one of us. Even if we're not even aware of it, it impacts us, every single one of us. If you think about, domestic violence is a cycle. It sometimes repeats each generation. It's an epidemic. It's often silent. It goes unnoticed for whatever reason. Police, courts, prisons, social services, schools. It's everywhere. And oftentimes it's easier to just ignore because we don't know how to deal with it.
People don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
And you think, a lot of the families that are affected by this, if children are involved, they grow up seeing this, and then some of that's going to carry on with them into their family life.
It's normalized.
Yeah, because they see
we
these
become
things.
Desensitized
They
to
see
it.
these things happening, and they start to think it's normal. This is the way people live.
Right.
And so, I'm sure that's a concern. Well, statistically, talking about all of the people that this affects, and it affects men and women, it affects children, but like right here in Hawkins County, I know you've seen a lot of people this last year, and caseload has increased tremendously from before you were here actually on the ground. So talk a little about that.
Okay. So prior to our ribbon cutting, CEASE had helped 34 Hawkins County families. In the last year, that number has increased to 140.
Which says the need is here.
Absolutely.
The need is here.
Yes, and there is such a need for an emergency shelter. we need a safe house in Hawkins County so badly, which is why CEAS has the ultimate goal of opening one in 1 to 3 years. But in just thinking about our numbers and what we've been able to accomplish with CEAS, for safe at home rapid rehousing, which again pays the 2 to 3 months for rent, utilities, and deposits, we have had in the last year 33 Hawkins families housed into a new apartment, which is really, just monumentally wonderful to have that option. I have had, CEAS of Hawkins County has had 84 crisis calls total in the last year, which demonstrates the demand for services for these survivors. We have had a total of 16 clients, families, men, women, and children seek emergency shelter through our program, which speaks volumes about our need for emergency shelter. And then 34 Hawkins County families, unfortunately, were not able to find emergency shelter when they needed it. And that was due to many different reasons, primarily because we don't have a shelter in Hawkins County. Our clients have jobs. They can't go out of county.
The distances involved.
Exactly. Our clients have children in the school systems. Those children have friends and clubs and athletic groups.
Right.
They don't want to leave.
So you don't want to disrupt their life any more than
absolutely
is necessary.
Domestic violence is so traumatic as it is, and then you add the trauma of leaving everything you've ever known to go into an emergency shelter out of county. So that's something we're working towards. We're gonna meet that demand.
And there may be somebody watching our program today who might want to help with that cause. You never know. I mean, I'm sure, land, facility, money are always the big three. You've got to have that. So, I mean, there may be somebody watching today that feels led to help with this, and I'm sure you'd love to talk to them.
I sure would.
So if you're out there
give me a
and
call.
you think you could help with this, contact Jenna and her staff at the numbers that you see there on the bottom of the screen.